Welcome. In today's episode, we take a shot at killing a few myths. We're breaking down what strokes gained is and why it lies to your ego. We're sorting out the player of the year debate, dominance versus history, Scotty versus Rory, and we're putting real money on the line with wild 2026 predictions that we'll have to answer for later.
We're also giving away the Rapsodo launch monitor. So like, comment, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all the major socials. First 200 subscribers, one of you all will take this out.
That's right. So share it with your friends, guys, because the faster we get to that 200 number on both Instagram and YouTube, the faster we're going to announce that giveaway. We're going to make these as often as we possibly can, and we're going to keep leveling up those prizes for you guys. So get in there, get in the comments, share it with your friends.
So first on the show, we're talking about a little bit of controversy in the most recent PGA Tour Player of the Year award. What it really boils down to is, should this Player of the Year recognition really reward the most dominant season or the more historic season? Because you have, what it came down to was Rory McIlroy, obviously a four-time winner, I believe, won at Pebble, the Players, and the Masters, completing the career Grand Slam, versus Scottie Scheffler, six-time winner, two majors, taking home the PGA at Quail Hollow and the Open Championship this past year. Scotty ended up winning the Jack Nicklaus Award. It is voted on by your peers, while Rory obviously created the Grand Slam. Therein lies the controversy. The players themselves clearly voted for dominance in the form of Scottie Scheffler, but large parts of the media and many golf fans that are read into the history of the game argue that this historic accomplishment by Rory should outweigh a single season of stats.
So this is a really interesting subject because you did have two pretty incredible seasons from two guys, but it's important to note how you actually get voted as Player of the Year, right? So it's voted on by PGA Tour players themselves, specifically those members who have played in at least 15 official FedEx Cup events during the season. How it works, towards the end of the season, a ballot is opened, often after the Tour Championship occurs, within a short list of nominees selected by tour directors. So it's not just anyone on tour that they can vote for. The tour directors kind of put up a couple of names, and the Player Advisory Council has a play in that. Eligible players can cast their votes during a set window. The outcome, the player who gets the most votes from his peers wins the Jack Nicklaus Trophy as Player of the Year.
Guys, this isn't even a debate. The PGA media apparatus has put together this. They want Roy to be such the sponsor, the main person for the league, that they all backing him to be the Player of the Year. But Scotty's the better player. Scotty had the better season. He had a world record season this last year, 6 wins, 2 majors. Yeah, Roy had a great year. He finally closed out the career Grand Slam. He had 3 wins in the PGA Tour, but Scotty's the better player.
Better player right now, and statistically, absolutely the better player overall. I think the argument to the contrary would be, again, this is a career-defining moment for Rory. Again, we're only talking about a snapshot in time, right? It's how did he play in 2025. But if you look at the bigger picture, Rory is now one of only, I believe, 7 players to have ever won the career Grand Slam. And off the top of my head, oh, wow, I'm really going to test myself here. Bobby Jones, Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Walter Hagen, Tom Watson.
Was it Sam Snead?
Sam Snead did not win the career Grand Slam, and Rory McIlroy. Someone can fact check me on that. But
did you say Sarazen?
I did not say Gene Sarazen. I said
Gene
Walter
Sarazen.
Hagen. Hagen may have been before.
Hogan, not Hagen. Hogan, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, and there's quite a few that are living, and I know Rory's been on a couple podcasts. Would love to get them all together, I guess, at the Masters this year and do, I think it was a photo shoot or something he proposed. That would be really neat, especially if they get, kind of artistic with it, especially. I mean, that'll be hanging right here behind me.
Yeah. So I missed on Watson and Walter Hagen. If Scottie Scheffler didn't exist, he obviously did, it would have been Rory's beyond a shadow of a doubt. just some sound bites from him. Completing the career Grand Slam at Augusta is something special. It was a heavy weight to carry, and thankfully now I don't have to carry it, and it frees me up. It feels incredible. This is my 17th time here, and I started to wonder if it would ever be my time. The last 10 years coming here with the burden of the Grand Slam on my shoulders, it was all relief. 2025 has been the year I made my dreams come true. It's the year dreams are made of. So obviously a lot of deep psychological impact and personal significance there. I know we've talked a little bit on this show before about predictions for the upcoming year. What is Rory going to do? How is he going to perform? Does he, now that he has the monkey off his back, rather, not the donkey, does he go out and rip off another major or two this year and continue going on down that path in subsequent seasons? Or now that weight has been lifted, does he lose motivation to go out and get it? Time will tell.
Yeah, you also have Scotty, and he praised Roy, as he should, as saying he had a historic year, and it seemed like he said that it seemed like it was a lot of relief for him to win. And I agree with that. He had a great year. He closed out a feat that very few have ever done. But the problem in going off of what you just said, though, I think Roy this year, 2026, is going to let his foot off the gas. I don't think that because the monkey's gone, now all of a sudden he's going to be able to play loose and free. I think that he's just going to have a fall off year.
See, that's what we've talked about in the past. If you tuned into a couple prior episodes, you'll hear some of our takes on this. And I mean, if you've played tournament golf at a very high level, you understand the pressure, especially for some guys that are just coming on tour or they don't have big sponsorships. These guys need to make a career earning out of it. Once you get to Rory's level, they don't really as much worry about where they're going to end up, if they're going to be selling insurance in a couple of years or not, because he's made his career. It's huge. He's completed everything he's wanted to complete, according to Scotty.
And winning an away Ryder Cup after that.
In the same year, something he called out what he wanted to do.
That's a great point you just made, though, Brian. What else does he have to go prove?
See, I don't think it's anything for proving to anyone else but himself now. I think that other players now, this controversy around Player of the Year, for example, is new fire for him. There's quite a few things that are new fire for him that are not going to be, oh, I want to accomplish a career Grand Slam. Now it's going to be, oh yeah, I'm still Rory. Don't you shut your door on me, right? I think he's got that head.
Rory had to win the Masters, and he had to prove everybody that he could do it. He's gotten close before, and he's blown up and could not close the big one. But then you got guys like Scotty, and they say that he just loves practicing more than he loves winning. Remember the interview that he did last year where he was talking about how he wants to be remembered as being a great father more than he wants to be remembered for being a great player?
If my golf ever started affecting my home life or it ever affected the relationship I have with my wife or with my son, that's going to be the last day that I play out here for a living. This is not the be all end all. This is not the most important thing in my life. And that's why I wrestle with, why is this so important to me? Because, I would much rather be a great father than I would be a great golfer. That at the end of the day, that's what's more important to me.
I think that's what separates Scotty from these other guys, is that he does it because he loves the game and because he loves practicing. And he's out there, and you just see it in his body language. And I think that the guy just loves being out there with the fellow players, and he's doing it because he has a lot of fun.
Let me ask this, if you're so certain about it. Roles are reversed. Scotty, this past year, wins the career Grand Slam, only has 4 victories. Rory, statistically more superior, wins 2 majors, doesn't win the career Grand Slam. Who gets it?
How old is Scotty, by the way?
You just take Scotty's name and replace him with Rory's stats and vice versa.
I get that. But
how old is he right now?
Yeah.
He's 28 or 29.
29 years old. I think he just turned 29. Roy's been around, it feels like, my whole life.
Roy's 38, 39.
But we've known his name since he was a junior golfer because he was one of the best in the world. The guy's been around forever. Scotty has got so much upside to come. And again, I think that he is a great spokesperson for the entire league. And I get your question, but right now, the fact that your peers, the other tour players, voted for this award to be given out shows where their allegiance is going. I think that they want Scotty to be the future. Unfortunately, going back to what we've talked about in previous episodes. Does Brian, head of the PGA Tour, does he think should be the spokesperson?
I think that is.
I don't think it's relevant to the discussion.
It's not relevant.
So
I
in
mean,
terms of what you're saying, though, you think that in that case, Rory or that Scotty should still be Player of the Year if the roles were reversed.
Roles reversed. Scotty had the better year last year. I think you have to give it to Roy. Yeah, 6 wins, 2 majors.
Okay.
So 6 wins, 2 majors, the PGA Championship, Open Championship. He gained 456 FedEx Cup points. Rory's 3,687. So from a point standpoint as well, pretty dominant, nearly double. Number 1 in strokes gained total, 2.743 on the field across all of his tournaments. Number 1 scoring average, we're talking 68.131 to Rory's 69.083. So that's nearly a full stroke on Rory. Peer voted. So it's kind of hard to argue when the best players in the world get together to decide who is the Player of the Year.
When you are talking about over here strokes gained, though, can we go into for the audience what is strokes gained so that they can have a better understanding of that?
Yeah. So in this segment, we're going to break it down for those of you that don't understand, strokes gained, what it is, how it can be useful to you, as well as what does it mean when you're watching it on tour. You tune in and they say, okay, strokes gained on the field or strokes gained on a specific hole. So strokes gained measures whether a shot helped or hurt your score compared to what an average golfer would do from the same spot on the course. If you take fewer strokes than expected to hole out from that position, you gained strokes. If you take more strokes from that position, you lost strokes. It ignores how the shot looked and only cares about one thing. Did it actually help you score better?
So really quickly, just to go into and explain what exactly is strokes gained. Strokes gained comes from a guy named Mark Brody, who's a Columbia Business School professor who was an absolute golf nut like us. Realized the stats that we've been using for decades were lying. Fairways hit and greens in regulation treated every shot the same, even though a miss from 200 yards is nothing like a miss from 120 out. Mark Brody built a system that measured how many strokes should it take to hole out from any spot on the golf course, then compared that to what you actually did. PGA Tour adopted it through ShotLink in the early 2010s, and then basically overnight it exposed what actually wins golf tournaments. This isn't vibes, this isn't beautiful golf swings, it's what shots really move the needle when it comes to scoring, which at the end of the day is what wins golf tournaments, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you akin this to racing or like F1 or something, if you're trying to shave off a millisecond on the field by cutting the corner or taking a slightly different line into that corner or out of that corner, and you switch to certain tires or whatever it is so that you can gain that extra millisecond. I mean, that's really what strokes gained is how do you edge ahead on lap 1, 2, and 3? If you think about every hole, right, leading up to round 1, leading through round 2, through round 3, you want to be looking at each hole, looking at each round as how do I perform strokes gained? And that doesn't just go for PGA Tour players. Like, we can learn from this too. All of us can log into their golf apps, Golf Shot, or, the Gin app. Unknown Golf is a great one too. Whatever you guys use to track your scores and help understand your game better, that's going to spit out some of these strokes gained numbers for you. And it's going to tell you where to focus on your game. It'll say, look, your strength is driving, you're hitting good fairways and you're hitting it far. So man, you got to get your putting under control, because that's the thing holding you back from scoring well, right? You're losing to the field on putting because the next guy over, he just beat you by a stroke because literally he had 1 fewer putts, even though you were proximity to the hole closer than him. He just is a better putter.
Yeah, 2020 end of the season for 2024 going into the 2025 season, Golf Digest had a great video that they put out, and they analyzed every single one of Scotty's shots for the entire season, all 1,035 shots that he had coming into the green. And Scotty adapts something that Ben Hogan perfected years ago, and it's called the green zone. And so when he's approaching and attacking at a green, what he does is he breaks it up into segments. He's not pin hunting, and a lot of amateur golfers keep trying to hit right towards the flag, and then they don't understand that there's a slope behind the green, and they hit that slope, and all of a sudden it runs off. What Scotty does is his tour players are so good at putting, he knows that if I can approach this green right here, it's gonna feet. I know I'm gonna carry it X number of distance, it's gonna roll out 3 feet, and then it's gonna then feed towards the hole. So these guys are so good that once you're on the green, what he wants to do is take out any of the potential of the danger zones that are out there. So again, it's called green zones. And even when Jordan Spieth was having his first time that he played in the Masters, just before he went out on his first round, he talked to Jack Nicklaus, and Jack had told him play towards zones on the green. So this is something that they used to do back in the day, and we're already seeing this take off in the Asian tours right now. And there's so many good Asian players coming out, especially in the LPGA, that are using this old style of attacking towards zones on the green. And I think that right now, the American player, we've been, again, pin seeking for so long that we need to go back to playing a better game of golf where we just take out the doubles for us amateur golfers. Try to get it where, how do I make sure that I only two putt when I'm on a green? That's how you can bring your average scores down and have a better handicap.
100%. I mean, look, to your point, Rory actually came out. Tiger said this too during the Hero World. What Scotty does better than anyone I've ever seen, and he was talking about legitimately, he said Tiger and so on, is that he just doesn't make mistakes. And that is why he doesn't make mistakes, because when he makes a mistake, the mistake is so much smaller and the cost of that mistake is so much less that his strokes gained on the field continues to rise. So when you guys are out there playing golf, you're attacking pins, your chances, your strokes gained, if you miss that pin, might be moving you backwards way further than you think. So play towards those zones, look at your dangers, think course management, go towards areas of the green where I can hit it there. And if you have some clubs, say 130, 140 yards down, that you're super confident in, and you're a ball striker, maybe you go for a couple pins here and there. Like, pick the ones you want to go.
Well, all of us, even in this room, even if you're a good golfer, and I'm talking about the guys that are 7 handicaps and better, you've got to remove the ego. How many times are you sitting out there with your boys, or you're in a scramble, one guy hits it a little bit past you, and then you try to rip one, and you don't understand that by you going at it a little bit extra and you flare it off in the woods, well, now all of a sudden your round that could have been a 76 round is an 81 round. And you've lost a couple strokes because that also could carry on for the next few holes. So you have to have a very short memory, selective amnesia when you play golf. So you can't be thinking about what happened the previous holes when you're out there.
I think
Well, just to finish out the Roy thing, this is really interesting. He says, because right off of what you're saying, he's the best I've ever seen at staying in the moment and just taking what the golf course gives him. If you really break that down, like if you're going to make a plan and hit a zone on the green, so easy for the rest of us to just go away from that plan. Oh no, I'm in a good spot. I could do it. Or I'm holding the right club, or I'm feeling good today. I'm striking it well today. He picks a plan, he stays in the moment, and he follows through with that plan. Like, that's all we really have to do. You might think it's boring golf until you start making birdies, then it starts being fun golf.
I want to bring it back and focus on what's more relevant to, frankly, our listeners, and I'll speak for myself and me from an amateur perspective. In fact, this entire discussion of stroke gained actually was from one of our listeners via direct message at bjones343. If you're out there listening to this, thanks for the call out on what the hell is strokes gained. But we always say, "Oh man, I just need to putt better."
Son of a bitch, ball! Why didn't you just go home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home? Answer me.
Oh, I hit it straight, I just don't score, or short games save rounds. I think that if you really dig into strokes gained, that what it means for your game, it's less you don't have to be the best ball striker in the world to understand what's going to give you a better chance at 2-putting versus 3-putting. I started using Arcos about 2.5 seasons ago, and it just kind of pulls back the curtain on all of that. It's like, well, really, if you want to 3-putt less, you should work on your ball striking, because the closer you are to the hole before you start putting, the greater chance you're going to have to get it down into.
I think there's a correlation right there with the best ball strikers in the world rise up to be the best players in the world. They often hold the number one seat. They often win tournaments. You'll hear people talking about the fact that, the best putter didn't often win that tournament.
That's why Brad Faxon was an 18-time major champion.
Right. He's one of the best putters in the world. And Crenshaw was a great putter too. I mean, I think we talked about this a little while ago. If you're going to figure out who to model your putting off after, if back in the day, those two guys are definitely ones to go look at. Strokes gained for us is pretty simple. Make a plan, stick to it, course management, right? You innately will gain strokes. And at the end of the day, when you're putting in, your scores and you're saying, track more. This is the thing. Track more than just a 4 on a par 4. Track that you hit your drive left, and then the next hole you hit your drive right. I missed a fairway, but only by 5 yards. Or this one, I missed a fairway by 20 yards, right? And your approach to the green, you don't have to be back, but roughly 40 feet, like as you're walking up. Like throw some of those notes in there on your scorecard. Throw it into your app. You're going to find some really interesting insights. And there'll be a few that you didn't expect. Now, I think there's a good amount of golfers that should not even think about strokes gained for quite a while, right? I mean, like, what's the break point here when you should say, I want to know about it for watching golf, but not for my own game?
Yeah, so for our average listener that's out there, because most golfers never break 100, we need to remember that. But I think once you're a bogey golfer, bogey golf is where I think you can go play every course in the world and then have fun out there. And with bogey golf, at the bottom of your scorecard, and I say this to our listeners and our viewers watching us, just put fairways, put greens in regulation, and put putts on the bottom of your scorecard, and just start keeping track of how many fairways you hit off the tee, how many greens in regulation, and how many putts you have. That's when I think that you start really making advancements in your handicap once you start keeping track of those stats.
My answer to my own question might be not a specific handicap, but if you find yourself scoring in the mid 80s, that's a good point where you can figure out how to shave strokes by purely just course management. Possibly even, like if you're, I'd say 86, 85, 84, 83, you start looking at strokes gained at that point, in my opinion. If you're above that, I'd say you got to focus on other parts of your game. Short game's a big one that higher handicappers don't spend enough time on.
I don't disagree. I maybe am framing it a little bit differently in my mind. Instead of pinning down your X handicap or you're consistently shooting Y score, I think you said the mid 80s. I think
I'm just saying they can hit the mid 80s.
Okay. I think what we're arriving at is the same conclusion. But for me, I think about it as when it makes the most sense to start thinking about stuff like this is when instead of just going out a weekend or two a month and playing, you're actually practicing and thinking about the game consistently.
The number one guy on tour that probably tracks this more than anyone, you might think it's Bryson, but it's actually Fitzpatrick. Yeah. I mean, this guy, just look it up online. You're going to find some really cool images of his scorecards and his
in
notes.
full swing.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love
boxes of yardage books that he had from past tournaments he played in.
It's incredibly important to do this if you want to get better at the game and you don't have a ton of time to practice all the time, because you can just be smarter during your round, no matter what skill level you are, and you can shoot lower scores. So to wrap this up and get back into the player of the year debate, Scotty wins on weeks where he doesn't putt great because his ball striking gave him a margin, and that's strokes gained. right? You have someone else that might be better putter or better off the tee. And what you can find is that if he was exceptionally better in an area of that game, it can make up for other areas of the game. From a strokes gained perspective, that does translate into lower scores. It tracks damage. Tiger's prime dominance was not when his putting stats were the best. It was relentless tee to green pressure. The putter just amplified it. When his putter turned on, when he was also very good tee to green, we saw those, 18 stroke victory or something like that in the US Open. Unbelievable victories coming out of Tiger. But when he was like, I wasn't really playing in my A game, but he still won a major, you see these quotes. I mean, that's really what's behind there. And this is strokes gained, and then they go backwards in time and they're able to take these calculations. You can go on PGAtour.com and check that stuff out. Just explore it, guys. Like, if you're asking the question, it's the right question to ask.
And to all the listeners out there, I mean, we were planning on talking about Player of the Year as we were planning for this episode, but it was a listener request that made us go a little bit deeper and talk about strokes game, because that's what you guys actually wanted to hear. So keep the comments coming.
There's a lot of statements that were made around the player of the year debate. It wasn't just, Rory saying a few things or Scotty saying a few things. The reason why it became a debate is really the question here. Once you vote someone in, they win the award. I mean, that could kind of be the end of it, in my opinion. Like, I accept the results. But, what does this say? A recount? I demand a recount situation? Or is it people on the tour trying to build narratives, other podcasts and other news outlets trying to build narratives and create, momentum in the off season? What's your conclusions on this?
To put a bow on it from the Rory perspective, yeah, it is a little bit of narrative building and kind of off season muckraking. But at the end of the day, who does that narrative really matter to? It's Rory McIlroy. If there's no other reason for him to get fired up and continue to stay motivated going into the 2026 golf season and beyond, why not just tape that bad boy up on your metaphorical locker room wall? Really? I won the career Grand Slam and that doesn't necessitate me getting the Player of the Year award? Screw you guys.
I just got this vision of Rory walking out his front door and just like Ted Lasso, up above the door. You just hits it every.
Guys, there's no hanging Chad here. This is in the early 2000s. At the end of the day, the peers voted for it. The players voted for it. The fans voted for this. Scotty had one of the greatest seasons that's ever occurred. He won 2 majors. He won 6 tournaments total. Scotty's the best player of 2025.
I think Rory agrees. I mean, he's quoted saying he's been on a different level. He is the bar that we're all trying to get to. I mean, I don't think Rory disagrees. I think that, he accomplished something in his career, but we're talking about a season. So Jack Nicklaus, I'm going to read off a couple of quotes that really help to underpin, this deal here. Scotty is at the top of the game, arguably in a class by himself. And, Jack's talking about the entire field. That includes Rory and what he did last year. He also said it's very hard to overlook 6 victories in 1 year, including 2 majors. Doug Ferguson said Rory produced the biggest moment for him and for golf. And it is. It was the biggest moment. We're still talking about it, and we're going to be talking about it for decades because he's one of 7 people to ever do it. And the real thing that could overshadow that is if Scotty does it this year.
Yeah, he also missed that putt on 18, guys. So if you're the player of the year, you're not missing that, in my opinion. Tiger didn't miss it back in the day. Michael Jordan didn't miss the free throw.
Which putt are we talking about?
Masters to go into overtime that they had to.
I will say that kept me on the edge of my seat. That was one of the most electrifying endings to possibly any major that we've
I was
ever
rooting
had.
for Justin Rose.
It was fun. It was fun. You were really split.
Did you know who did make the putt on 18? Rosie. Seriously, no shit. To get into the playoff, he did.
He did. That was a helicopter
He
shot.
dropped a bomb too.
That was 17-footer.
Maybe not a
with
spawn bomb.
with a
Spawn
5-foot
bomb.
break to it. Yeah, quarter putt.
That should be on everyone's lips going into 2026 season. Every time you guys drop a bomb, you just call it a
Spawn bomb?
spawn bomb.
All right, guys. So let's make some predictions then going into this 2026 season, and let's make some friendly bets here. How about what do you guys think? Let's say who's going to be Player of the Year. Let's bet $30 who's going to be Player of the Year at the end of this year.
Yes, we got around the table earlier and we said, how can we make this interesting? Everybody goes on their 2026 predictions and it lasts an entire episode. And we wanted to make this a little bit different, guys. We're going to go big with these predictions. We're not going to focus just on players. So $30, 3 predictions. And if we get all 3 of them right, $600. And that means that the other 2 that didn't get it right have to pay out $300 apiece.
$300 apiece plus you have to cook for the winner.
Ooh, now he's just throwing in audibles. I don't mind that, actually. That sounds fun.
All right.
I don't know if I want you to cook for me.
Player of the Year. Who is it going to be?
I don't know. I've seen some of his Christmas, dinner pictures. There's big roasts on there.
All right, a little rare who
I'll
roast
go all
feast.
out. I'll wear the apron for you guys and everything if I lose, but I know I'm not going to lose. My predictions are solid.
All right, so player prediction, or is this a Player of the Year prediction? Because I've got a player prediction.
It's just 2026 prediction.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be Player of the Year. I have a sneaky feeling that's where Josh is going to
That's
go.
where I'm going with mine.
All right, you lead off. Go ahead.
All right.
What's your player prediction?
Current 18th in the world. He's been as high as 4th in the world. Right now, Ludwig, I think, is going to have his breakout year. I think he's going to win a major. I think he's going to win 3 tournaments this year. He won 2 tournaments
In addition
last
to the
year.
major, or
I'm sorry?
3 total tournaments, including the major?
3 total tournaments, including the major. He won 2 tournaments last year. One was a DP World Challenge. One was a PGA tournament. And then he also just came in 3rd in the last tournament of the DP World Challenge.
I did lose.
So I think that he's coming into 2026 hot. I think he's going to have the best year and be Player of the Year and win his first major.
That is a bold prediction indeed. Ludwig won at the Genesis last year, so we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of that. All right. My player prediction is that Justin Rose will win a major in 2026. He's been right there the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. Multiple top 10s. He's been flirting with
Lost
it.
to Rory in the playoff at the Masters last year. Year before that, finished runner-up to Xander at the Open. I think he's right there. He's a past U.S. Open champ, former world number 1, 45 going on 46 years old. I think he's still got it left in the tank. Even if he doesn't win, this doesn't have anything to do with that. Even if he does not win a major in 2026, I think that Justin Rose has as good a shot as any to be the oldest major champion when it's all said and done.
I like it.
You don't care who wins just as long as they have fun? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I think Justin Rose is a stud.
All right. Who you got?
Watch out, Rosie's wife. Patrick's coming for you. So look, when we had marching orders to do this, it was something outlandish. We had to come up with something difficult. If you're in DraftKings, it's 100,000 to 1 or whatever the odds would be for something way out of there. I'm going to tell you a couple of them that I thought, but these are not the ones I'm going to go with. So one of them I came up with was Scotty Scheffler doesn't finish 2026 as the world number 1 and goes winless in majors this season. So that was one. I didn't go with it. I think that one's almost too outlandish.
I think Phil Mickelson also made that same bet last year, and that ended horribly for him.
All right, so here's the one I'm going with. Bryson DeChambeau wins a major in 2026 and finishes the season with more top 10 major finishes than any other PGA Tour player. And now, this is why it's so outlandish. He's distracted by YouTube golf, his live negotiations. We don't know how those are going to shake out. Is he going to try to get onto the tour again? And if he does, what does that path look like for him? If he doesn't, then he's one of the few left on live, and he's fighting that whole live game and the live media battle. I mean, he's going to be mentally distracted, and can he stay focused? That's the really big reason of why that is so outlandish.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. It's a good point. But so last prediction for the year, I want to know y'all's thoughts on what's going to happen with the tour, these various tours that we have, or media apparatus out there. Do you have a prediction? So my prediction for 2026 is that TGL, this is the final year of TGL.
Okay. So if TGL has a season in 2027,
And I'll
you
lose.
lose.
I think I think that the audience is going to fall off so sharp. We've already seen a 64% drop from the first episode to the second, and we've already seen a massive drop off from last year. This is the last year of TGL. The ratings just aren't there.
Interesting. Even though they announced the WTGL.
Who's going to watch that?
So you think that they cut TGL and they killed the WTGL before it ever becomes a thing?
Absolutely. The
Even though
numbers
they
are
just
there.
announced it.
Free money.
Free money, man. I'll take it. All right. Patrick, what we got?
So my bold prediction for 2026, where I'm coming from, is that YouTube golf continues to just blow it out of the water. I think you're going to see like majors of sorts for the creators. So you have the Internet Invitational. I think there's going to be one, if not two more tournaments like that, where there's big money at stake. You have all the creators coming together, and that does not...
One or two?
You will at least see one more. You'll see one or more Internet Invitational type tournaments in addition to the Internet Invitational.
Odds are good, because
in addition to the Internet Invitational that are that high profile.
Oh, in addition.
In addition to the Internet Invitational, and the what is the PGA called? The Creator Classic does not count.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Internet Invitational, Creator Classic.
Got to have a high dollar value. What's the high dollar value? What's your threshold?
$1 million prize pool or above.
If we're using the Internet Invitational as the benchmark, it is $1 million purse or up.
Wow. I like that one. I like that one a lot. Has been a couple episodes since we've dove into the YouTube golf world, and we're going to see that coming up here in one of our next ones. So mine is almost directly against Josh. I think the TGL outdraws at least one major non-PGA Tour event in U.S. average viewership during its 2026 season. So measurable outcomes, TGL match posts higher average U.S. viewership than at least one regular season PGA Tour event, not the elevated events. That excludes majors, players, those. We can base that on the Nielsen ratings, network reported numbers. To boot, on top of that, I think that we'll also see Tiger show up, and he's not showing up in his first Jupiter Links match, but I think he'll show up in at least two of these matches. And I know in the past we've had some statements thinking he's not going to show up at all. So I'm going Tiger shows up twice, and the TGL will have an event that outpaces the viewership of a regular season PGA Tour event. So call it the lowest one.
Tiger shows up, you're going to win this bet.
That's why I think you're going to lose, is because Tiger is a major stakeholder in TGL. And even if he wasn't planning on playing, if the ratings are tanking, they've already kind of dug themselves a hole with the WTGL announcement. Tiger's like, all right, well, I know I boosted, so let's get out there and
look. I'm acting as a marketing
ratings.
Acting as a marketing lead. I always built this schedule. If I was in the TGL and I was their marketing lead, I always built this schedule to open with lower level, lower viewership events and to peak at a certain point. So I think that they're doing a smart thing by thinking about where to spend their money and how to get their social virality up before they spend their money. And I think they're doing that right now. We're only in, the fourth match is tonight. So that helps you guys date this episode.
Yeah, if you want to get your ratings up, move it to YouTube, get it out there, bring back Tiger, have Roy and Tiger go head to head against each other. It's not a very tough formula to get it out there. Bring in the Bryan brothers to play as a sponsored guest in one of your matches. There's things they could do, but TGL, this is its last year, boys.
All right, guys. So to wrap up this episode, it's been heavy in debates. Got some predictions on the line, but we have to throw in some weird stuff. All right, we've got a new recurring segment that we're going to throw in every once in a while. Each of us are going to bring one to the table. So, Pat, what do you got?
Mid-December of 2025, normal day at Hoy Lake, Royal Liverpool Golf Club. Going along, I'm not really clear on how this was discovered, but turns out that there's a piece of unexploded ordnance from World War II that was just casually lying around underneath Royal Liverpool Golf Club. So they stopped playing for a day. We can put the video up for those of you that are watching on YouTube and play it real quick. They blow this thing up in the middle of Royal Liverpool Golf Course one day about a month ago in December. So that's my absurd and unhinged golf story for this piece.
I love that one just because it shows the history of the game. Some of these courses were built on top of World War II ordnance that was buried. I mean, that's wild to me. That's just nuts. What do you got, Josh?
For us all to aspire to try to break the best round ever recorded in golf. Do you guys know what it is? How much under did they shoot?
It was Kim Jong-un, and he shot
38 under, witnessed by 17 individuals, all bodyguards. He recorded 11 hole-in-ones on his first round ever playing.
And last.
First and last round ever playing.
It's unreal.
Well, there's a reason there weren't 18 bodyguards, because the one that said he didn't make one was subsequently never heard from again.
And all of his family is now in that concentration camp, the 3-generation concentration camp.
This might be, in my opinion, the most unhinged story that I've heard recently. For 13 years at Stavanger Golf Club in Norway, someone has been sneaking onto the course, usually early mornings, weekdays only, is what I've seen, and pooping directly onto the golf holes. Not near them, on the hole, the cup itself.
That's some precision there.
Are they removing? I've got so many questions about this.
Are
they removing the flagstick, or are they using it as a guide rail?
It's in the cup with toilet paper, like it's a ritual or something. So this is not an animal doing it. 13 years, and they haven't caught this person. They tried lights.
I feel like that would be reasonably easy to do with like a trail cam.
Is it almost like an honor system too? Like if I'm the one that I put on top of the mound at first, do I just leave it there for the rest of my players to see? Or is it one that you get out there and you have to pull the whole cup out and then re-plug it? I mean, this could be kind of fun.
Okay,
so just so I'm clear here,
the trail cams are a great idea, and they should listen to this podcast and use them, because here's what they did do. They tried lights and he disabled them. We're assuming it's a he. They tracked patterns and he evidently adapted to the patterns. They still have no suspect. 13 years, no arrest, no explanation, no motive.
It's got to be an inside job.
At this point, it's not vandalism,
need to make a
guys.
confession for us here today on Golf Nuts. Do you need to make a confession?
I am the Norvenger Golf Club shitter.
I've never been more proud of my co-host.
Also, the commitment to fly every. As a new dad, that's impressive.
How often is this happening, by the way?
Weekdays.
No, like
every weekday?
Every week?
Like nearly every weekday.
That's why it's got to be an inside job. 13 years, every day for 13 years.
I think that this is a selling point for the country club, and they are doing this as a rite of passage.
So thank you guys for tuning in. And remember, we've got this MLM1. This is what you guys can win. Get up on the comments. If you've made it this far, you definitely have something to say. So meet us in there. Share it with your friends. One of the first 200 subscribers on YouTube and on Instagram will win this. So that's a pretty good opportunity if you get 2 entries there. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Tune in next time. We're going to have some great stuff for you on the next episode. I'm Brian.
Patrick.
And I'm John. And if you've got any more ideas like strokes gained, please comment on this.
We're Golf Nuts.